And welcome back for part 2 of our discussion with Tushar Tambe, who is the Senior Vice President of Products for HyTrust. So one of the things, obviously, that's a big theme these days is multi-cloud, and we sort of talked about that just a second ago with the on-premises and the cloud encryption key capability. We keep maintaining those on-premises, but this is a big push for HyTrust right now as well. Can you talk a little about that?
It is. So we are actually seeing this play out in our customer environment. So what's happening is a lot of our big enterprise customers are moving from a purely one vendor, typically VMware, on-prem data centers, to with their enterprise data centers now moving to be a mix of on-prem and off-prem deployments, and typically a mix of AWS vSphere or AWS Azure vSphere on the one hand. On the other hand, their workloads are, a lot of their applications are getting containerized. So they are now having to deal with not just a VM-based workload, but a lot of container-based applications as well. And they're big enterprises, but they often don't have the manpower or the budget to go and implement security 4 different ways for 4 different clouds and 4 different environments, right? So our push with Cloud Control 6.0, which is our big new product release this quarter, is to help these customers transition to a multi-cloud environment while using a single consistent set of tools where they can specify policy and have it be implemented across their multi-cloud environment.
So is it safe to say it's based on an abstraction layer in some ways, that you're going to abstract some of the security policies away from the cloud provider and make them consistent for the user? Absolutely.
So with our 6.0 release, we are really, a way to understand it is in 4 different pillars, right? There's the unified visibility across your multi-cloud environment, and this is not just collecting inventory across all. This is a unified security-centric view of your entire environment, which includes admin actions, how close you are, again, this regulatory compliance, how compliant with standards you are across all of your environment, and various things like audit trails and so on collected so that you get a single consistent view. So that's unified visibility. A big theme of this release is security as code, where your entire security policy, we allow you to specify in a YAML document that we call a trust manifest. And again, as you mentioned, that abstracts the details of how this security is done across all of your environments. So this security policy could be your encryption policy, your access control policy, your configuration hardening policy, your deployment control policy. All of this is, you don't, as a customer, you don't need to know the details of how this is done on AWS or Kubernetes or vSphere or what have you. We abstract all of that away from you, and we keep that in one. You specify it once, we translate it and apply it on your environment. The third is compliance. So I mentioned we've been doing this for a while. We've implemented a whole set of standards for your private cloud infrastructure. We are now extending those standards and new operations that are recommended as part of AWS and Kubernetes hardening into the cloud as well. So we call this zero-touch compliance. Again, you specify the standard that you want to comply with. We make it possible across all of your environment. And then finally, we provide our customers with something we call full stack protection. So it's not enough to protect your container environment if you're leaving your underlying AWS environment open. Right? Similarly, it's not enough to protect your container environment and not worry about the vSphere environment. Our product now handles security at the base hypervisor level as well as the container environment that's running on top.
One of the things that we're seeing a lot of is this idea of infrastructure as code, policy as code, things like that. Right. You're introducing, as you mentioned, security as code. What does that mean from a development and ongoing operations perspective for your customers?
So we like to think of security very holistically. So our security policy includes people-centric security, data-centric security, and infrastructure-centric security. So we've had these controls and this visibility in place for a while. What we are doing now with security as code is giving our customers the ability to specify using YAML, very easy to understand, very easy to maintain in their own source code control system, where they're probably also maintaining their infrastructure as code, so they can have all of the workflows around it, around change management, audit logging, and implement all of that using the security trust manifest. And then our product is integrated into this workflow so that any changes you make in this policy are then uniformly applied across all of your environment. So you're already used to the concept of infrastructure as code, which is trying to abstract the details of how you do infrastructure and orchestration across multiple clouds. We are doing the same for security.
Now, one of the things that's important is customer feedback, right? So as you've been talking to your customers about their experience with these products, what are you hearing from them?
So we are generally getting a very good and positive feedback from the work that we are doing for containers. In fact, we are learning constantly from our customers as well. So one of the things I often hear back as I talk to our customers about the controls we are putting in place for containers. So one of the things we've done is deployment control, where we make sure that it's very easy to deploy, pull images from public registries, private registries, deploy them on your container infrastructure. It's also easy to make mistakes and deploy images that have known vulnerabilities associated with them. So we've put in controls to make sure that at deployment time, these are blocked per the policy that you set. One of the interesting things that I heard back from more than one customer now is, we love these controls. Can you now take these controls and integrate them further upstream in my CI/CD pipeline? So as my application teams are building these images, that time itself I have these controls in place so that they're not picking up from the wrong sources, or they're not picking up hacked versions of images and so on. So that's one of the learnings we get from our customers. Customers are also telling us that because they have trusted us with the infrastructure security for their VMware clouds and their vSphere and NSX clouds, and because they have security baselines that they've over the years built up, and these are the specifications that they want to run their infrastructure by, as they extend these security baseline into the public cloud, we are their natural choice if we can make sure that we are ahead of the curve and making sure that all of their wants in their public cloud and their container workloads are being maintained. So they would be then using a single product to ensure a single product, single set of admins who are trained on this product already to ensure that their entire environment is secure.
Excellent. Tushar, thank you so much for this overview of what's been happening with HyTrust and how your customers are reacting to the product.
Thank you.
And thank you to our audience for watching this video.